Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone, and welcome to our second panel discussion of this conference. I'm Ari Manosutikit.
And I'm Sid Suntrayut.
And we'll be moderating this panel on the theme of concrete pathways for sustainable development. And before we begin, I'd like to introduce our 6 distinguished panelists, again, one more time, but with different information. All of our panelists represent different universities and organizations from different parts of the world, which include Hong Kong, Korea, the US, and Thailand. Such a diversity of perspectives on different SDG goals. Our first panelist that I'd like to introduce first is Dr. Priyanut Thamapiya. Dr. Priyanut is a consultant for Sustainable Development and Sufficiency Economy Studies Center at NIDA. She's also a chairperson of the governing board of SIMEO Regional Center for Sufficiency Economy Philosophy for Sustainability. And at present, she's active in teaching, training, advising for numerous research projects related to sufficiency economy and sustainable development. Our next panelist, we have Mr. Nicholas Grossman joining our panel. Mr. Grossman is a Harvard graduate, editor, and author of publications on key sustainable development issues for a wide English reading audience. He's produced over 20 publishing projects on development issues in Southeast Asia, for example, sustainable development goals, climate action, poverty reduction, energy agriculture, biodiversity, health justice, to name but a few.
Okay, our next panelist, we have Assistant Professor Dr. Sarawut Jansawan from the Graduate School of Applied Statistics at NIDA. Professor Sarawut has vast experience in the work for Thai government on mega transportation and traffic control projects. These include the Department of Highways, the Office of Transport and Traffic Policy Planning, and many others. And our fourth panelist, we have Professor Namjae Cho from the School of Business, Hanyang University in Seoul, in Korea. And Professor Cho is a Korean expert on management information system, and he also holds a high-level position, including the president of academic societies and the director of the government research program on future digital convergence.
Our next panelist is Professor Siwat Phongpheechan. He's from the Graduate School of Social Development and Management Strategies at NIDA. Professor Phongpheechan is also director of the NIDA Center for Research and Development of Disaster Prevention and Management. And he also a research fellow at the Chinese Academy of Sciences, which is the world's largest research organization located in China. His area of expertise lies in the field of climate change and extends to fundamental studies of marine chemistry. Our last but not least panelist is Professor Kin-fai HO from the JC School of Public Health and Primary Care from the Faculty of Medicine at the Chinese University of Hong Kong. Professor Kin-fai HO is an environmental scientist with a strong background in analytical chemistry and with many years of solid experiences in toxic pollutants and health-related studies. His recent research focuses on the impact of toxic air pollutants on human health.
Okay, so now we have less than an hour for our session. So without further ado, we can go ahead with the talks of each of the panelists. And each of the panelists will have about 7 minutes to talk about their topics. So please go ahead and let me begin with Professor Priyanut for her topic. Thank you very much.
สวัสดีค่ะ Thank you, Dr. Sid and อาจารย์อารีค่ะ I'll start with what Kun Nicholas Grossman and myself has been working together for these 10 years. We have this book on the Sustainable Development Source Book. This is the first book in Thailand that we have collected all issues and agenda in Thailand relating to sustainable development in Thailand. And this comes out before we have the SDGs. And after the SDGs work, both of us work on this a call to action work, which we have get all the cases in Thailand that we have done that are aligned with each of the SDG goals. And after that, at NIDA, I have translated because the book A Call to Action there are many requests, to use as a textbook in Thailand. So I have translated into a book we call in Thailand สืบสารสู่ปฏิบัติ which is carrying the torch of His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej to action. So this is a call to action. And our latest book, which is the book that we are going to discuss today, is a book about sustainable development, which Thailand has chosen its pathway based on sufficient economy philosophy within the framework of BCG, biology, circular, and green ecology. And this is the focus of our discussion today. When we are selecting the case for, putting into this book, well, first of all, we have done research, and we have set up a criteria to select the cases. And the framework that we have selected cases, of course, they are SEP, Sufficient Economy Philosophy, which Thailand has been using as a compass to direct our development strategy towards achieving the SDGs. And I think everyone knows about it already. But to go into details, when we're selecting each case to put in this book, first of all, it has to be consistent with the goals of SEP, Sufficient Economy Philosophy Principles, and the SDGs, which, we sort of like summarize into balancing and resilience within these 4 dimensions of development: economy, society, environment, and culture. We may recognize that in SDG we have only, environment, which is biosphere, society, and economy, and the 17th one, which is partnership. But in Sufficient Economy Philosophy, His Majesty King Bhumibol emphasized that while we are developing and progressing, we will never forget the cultural dimension in our development. And that's why the SEP has to be consider the cultural development as well as the other 3 bottom lines that we are getting used to. And how to select that, I won't go into details of SCP, but to put into the framework how we select the cases to put into the book. Well, knowledge, the most important knowledge conditions of development for each case study is that they have to know themselves. The most important knowledge is to know oneself, to know their capacity, to know their resources, and beyond that, they have to know the environmental or the ecosystem surrounding them, their capacity to make the best use of that knowledge. And virtues. Every case is not just making profit, but they have to consider environmental conservation, they have to consider societal development, the cultural assurance. So all of those virtues are the basis that we select each cases to put in this. And that they have to use the strategy of development their case, their business, based on the SEP or align with the SEP. Many cases, they don't know about the SEP themselves, intentionally, but when we analyze, we do research on that, they have prudence, thinking, they are making their business in a resilient way, they are modulating in, applying their resources and their, the budgeting, they are working step-by-step development, and all of them, the cases, they're using knowledge in a reasonable way. So they are aligned with the SEP principles. And of course, we make sure that each cases are beyond 5 years to make sure that they are sustainable and they are contributing to each, 4 dimensions goals as we mentioned. So no further ado, I think I'll move up to Nick to show, each of the cases that we have. We have so many cases because that BCG, is concentrated on the, the medical and wellness, tourism, innovative, knowledge, and agricultural and food industry. But today we have say only 4 cases, to show as a showcase, from NIDA. Okay, Nick, I'll pass it to you.
Thank you. Thank you to NIDA leadership for having me here. It's an honor. And thank you to the staff of NIDA for their great organization of this conference so far. It's been very well run. very grateful to be here, very honored to be here with these panelists and these speakers. So I noticed that our talk today is called Concrete Pathways to Sustainable Development. And it kind of occurred to me that concrete, while a good word for saying that we want something specific, not abstract, maybe not too macro, we want to learn how would we achieve sustainable development in some specific ways. And I think we can provide some examples today. But I think we should first consider to change the word concrete to, I have an idea, bamboo pathways. Why? Concrete, that's a highly impactful process to create concrete. It damages the environment, it pollutes the environment through dust. It's extremely difficult to remove concrete, and so it's not a very circular process. And in a way, we could say that it represents some old thinking, fixed in stone thinking, and also, frankly, concrete's not very attractive. If we compare that to bamboo, I just thought this would be an interesting example of a material in Thailand that's widely available. You can use bamboo to build houses, floors. You can use the fibers to make sheets. You can make paper and packaging out of it. You can make furniture. And let's not stop there. You can produce energy from bamboo. You can make biofuel, biogas, biomass heat, syngas. Thomas Edison actually used bamboo filament in the light bulb when he invented the light bulb. It's also a natural and elegant material. So I just want to use that as a metaphor today because bamboo also embodies the best sustainability approaches. It's a resilient material, it's a very strong material, it's adaptable, it's flexible, it's versatile as I just described, it's circular. When it grows, it sequesters carbon, just like a mangrove. When it dies, it can be mashed into a pulp to produce paper. It can be burned to produce energy. So I think that when we think about SD approaches, concrete pathways, success, those types of approaches and mindsets are important to keep in mind. So to get to the talk, thank you for allowing me that little prelude. The BCG strategy is Thailand's new government plan. It's a green growth plan. Many countries have these plans in their national economic development plans, and Thailand's new one is called BCG, Biocircular Green. What it's trying to do essentially is look at the natural resources available in Thailand. This is a biodiversity hotspot, and identify gaps in the economy where Thailand can take better advantage of their natural resources. And that's why I'd like to refer back to the bamboo. Bamboo is a widely available natural resource that Thailand can do a lot with on many different levels. But across the economic...
And we have many cases on bamboo in this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we did this book, we realized that out of the 40 case studies, not intentionally, we discovered that many of them are using bamboo in original, innovative ways. So for our study, we traveled around Thailand, we went to different regions, and we came up with 40 different examples of BCG in action, and also that demonstrates SEP. We spent about 1.5 years to do this, and we mostly focused on SME, small private initiatives. Those are often actually the strongest examples. We also had some community initiatives and some government projects. And I want to show you just 4 of those today. So these are some of the, if you go back, these are some of the people involved that we met for this book. And frankly, these are my heroes. The people who don't wear suits are my heroes. What we found is that they're using their hands and they're using their conviction and passion to execute really exciting projects all over Thailand. One of them is called Apai Pupe, And the lady, the wonderful Thai lady who's running this,
Maybe I'll put it in Thai โรงพยาบาลเจ้าพระยาอภัยภูเบศร Okay.
thank you for that. The lady who's running this is a Mahidol graduate. She is an expert in herbs and organic plants with medicinal properties, and her goal is to solve what we could call one BCG challenge, which is Thailand is importing Western medicines rather unnecessarily and selling and having to spend a lot of money to do that, when the reality is that the ingredients for a lot of medicines are actually readily available here in Thailand. And there's a tradition of wisdom as well on how to use those and how to create medicines. So she is creating these medicines for common ailments, and she is remarketing them back to Thais. And to her hope, as the quote says here, is to prompt Thais to realize that the traditional wisdom, herbs, and plants that they already have are good things. The reason this solves a BCG problem is if Thailand can create its own industry, then they'll no longer have to import all these Western medicines, and that will help with their exchange.
And for the SEP part, it aims to create a self-reliance, on medicine in Thailand, and also the cultural dimension that I mentioned, it really applies the local wisdom into developing this, medicine. Okay.
A second case study that's in our book, the problem here, or the BCG challenge, we could call it, is fast fashion leads to textile waste known as dead stock. If you're like me, you might go out and buy some Zara or shop at H&M, and it's very tempting. The products are very affordable, and they're very well designed. The problem with the fashion industry is to create that cotton takes a lot of water, and there's a lot of greenhouse gas emissions created by the fashion industry processes. So this organization called More Loop, what it does is it collects the dead stock, in other words, the leftover fabric from those processes, from these factories, and it's created a database of over 500 types of dead stock, and it then contacts factories and essentially sells it back to them. Okay, so rather than just having all the dead stock wasted, thrown into a landfill, it can be reused. Just a side note on these two entrepreneurs, both of them were in other industries before this. One of them was, I believe, in finance, and they wanted to do something that really matched their passion more, and they left their careers to start this organization. I think in terms of SEP.
Yes. It's interesting that when we met them, this is after COVID, and they have survived through the COVID-19 pandemic by diversifying their products, right? And they really care about the environment. And what happened is that it's step by step. They're growing like at a small step at a time. So it's really aligned with SEP.
Can I ask how much time we have? Is it
No more time.
Okay, we'll go quickly through the last two. So Monsoon Tea is based in Chiang Mai in the north. The problem here is coffee plantations, or in this case, tea plantations. They can degrade biodiversity. The large plantations are essentially bad for the environment through the monocropping practices. So there's a gentleman up there, he's actually Farang, who was wandering around the forest, and he discovered a tea type called Camellia sinensis.
In Thai, it's Miang.
Miang.
Miang in Chiang Mai, yeah.
And it grows wild in the forest. And so he decided to dedicate his tea business to that tea leaf alone. In other words, one that grows wild in the forest, and you would not have to cultivate in a monocropping way. So he exclusively uses that in his brand. And that means no pesticides, no fertilizers, and he also employs the local farmers to gather it.
I think we should stop here because it's time's up over there. And if anyone is interested in, we have a booth of our center success over there. There's a QR code. You can just go and scan the QR code and you can have the whole book in your mobile phone. Okay, thank you, คุณอาจารย์ศิษย์อาจารย์อารี
ครับผม Thank you very much, Professor Priyayut and Mr. Grossman for a very interesting book and the introduction of different cases. And I think one of the things that Professor Priyayut mentioned is about the cultural dimension. And I think this is something that translates into the local wisdom, which is very important for the SCP. So let us now move on to our next topic. I think we have a very interesting technological topic on the smart city. So Professor Sarawut, please take it away. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ajahn Sid, Ajahn Ari, for opportunities. I would like to bring back everyone back to NIDA and what we have done in the SDG and what we have done to make the city more sustainable and our community more sustainable. So if you see the fact that we can see this one, the population, okay, the world population increased gradually, and you can see that in 2050, we're going to have 9 billion people living in our world. So 60% of them will live in the cities by 2025. You can see that. And this is because of a lot of driver. Like say, for example, when we gather together, we have more opportunities. We have more efficiency in terms of infrastructures, this kind of thing. So this is the very important, like people come together and living in the cities more and more. And when we live in the cities, you can imagine what's going to happen, right? So we have a lot of problems. This is the real pictures of Bangkok on the Friday afternoon when people like try to commute back to their home, okay, and then they're waiting for the bus and maybe the SkyTrain. You can see that this is reflect a lot to our quality of life when we're living together without the way we can manage it. We have a traffic problem. We have, of course, disaster. When disaster comes, the flood, waste, pollution, and so on. So this is the things that bring us to think about how we can manage the city more smart way, better way. So as a NIDA, I think we are institute that we want to do a lot of research in different way to make the city more smarter. So we divide the dimensions of smart in different dimensions. You can see this is the 8 dimensions that we are working on. Let's say, for example, we are working on the smart energy, how we can utilize our energy smart way. We have the management system that we can use the electricity, the water in the better way, the smart way. We plan to do the smart mobility, not only the inside, but also connecting with the outside. Smart community, we want to connect more with the community, the environment. And of course, NIDA is not that big, so we need to manage the buildings. Okay, so this is the smart building and different dimension that we try to do. And this is we call NIDA Smart Compact City, and you can see that we have 2C, it's a 2 degrees Celsius here that we want to keep the temperature lower than 2 degrees pre-industrial level. This is the things that we are working on. And you can see that there's mobility things that we want to connect with the outside world. We want to connect with the public transportation, the train, the subway, the bus stops, and we have a pier backside of NIDA. So how we connect NIDA people come back to the university using more efficient way, like say, for example, they can walk, they don't need to use the motorized vehicle. We replace all the LED lights all over the institute to make the consumption of the energy lower and lower. And we have a lot of projects, EV charging, those kind of things. This is the thing that we are working on, and some of the projects already done. This is the concept that after we do a lot of things, you can see that we have many data that we can collect. Let's say, for example, we have electricity meters, we have a water meter, CCTV. smoke detectors. This is all IoT system that we install all over NIDA. All of this will gather and archive all of we call the city database. So the city database is a real-time data that we collected from our sensor all over institutes. We bring all of this and bring through the, we call city analytic platform. So this is the server that we have and we develop. So in this one, if we have a lot of data, we have a new oil of the data, so we can manage, we can analyze it, and we can use the data to apply to make a further planning. Like say, for example, we have energy management system, EMS, we have environmental management systems, mobility, and also security. All of this data is provided in the new fashion way of the visualization, like dashboard, data analytics, and the report. This is good for the administrator to bring this information and plan for a better way of utilize the resource that we have. So I think I just flash over this is the example of things that we already done. Okay, I may not have a lot of time to explain all, but this is the thing, like for example, the energy management, that we can know the number of people coming in, we know the water and power information, how many people coming in, and we know the average per person that using the power or maybe water in the buildings. So this is tell us like how we manage the resource, okay? You can see this one, we have a dashboard for the environmental. We can detect the PM 2.5, both indoor and outdoors. We have all this kind of data. So this is the things that not only useful for the administrator, but I think for the research. And I asked my student to use the data to doing a lot of things and come up with a plan, okay? So this is the parking system. We have a paid recognition parking system. We have a dashboard. Of course, we have a EV charging station in the campus. So we can see that we want to encourage the use of the EV charging station and the EV vehicle and using less motorized vehicle inside the campus. And this is the Sky Connect. We call Sky Connect. We try to connect all the buildings. Okay, so we encourage people, and the staff, the faculty, the student to walk more. Okay, and then we have a coverway all around. NIDA is not that big, so you don't need to use the motorcycle. You don't need to use the car to go between the buildings. So why not we just walk? Okay, so this is the thing that we try to encourage people using this kind of facilities and infrastructure that we built. And this is the system that we did is like face recognition, so we can do the security and those kind of thing in NIDA. So this is just an example that I want to show you how we implement things, sustainability in action. Okay, I maybe run out of time. Thank you very much. Okay, maybe could you go to the slide of Professor Cho?
Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Namjae Cho from Korea. Thank you for inviting me to this wonderful conference. I have a background in engineering and management science and management information systems. So I would like to focus more on down-to-the-ground solution to this sustainability issue. I founded an international conference on IT applications and management a long time ago. This year, at the end of this month, we'll have this 27th conference. My view is that climate change is a dependent variable of our past behavior, past way of use technology, and past way of production and consumption. Now, we cannot change the climate itself, but we have to find out the independent variable which we can use. And the major independent variable that we can use is the technology and our collaboration potential across countries. My 27th international conference this month, we also deal with the issue of the use of data for international collaboration and also the use of data for sustainability. This slide shows that the percentage of electric vehicles out of the total vehicle, and it will increase sharply after this year, and that means we are going to use, the good side of it is we are going to use less fossil fuels, but we will need a huge amount of electric energy. So we have to produce a huge amount of electricity. So to do that, all the governments are trying to find out multiple ways to produce electricity, like solar and windmills and other renewable energies and nuclears. That's good, but still the technology is showing progress, but we are still going through trials and errors because there are some issues of solar panel pollution and windmills. It kills 6,000 birds, big predator birds like condors and eagles in the US, 6,000 birds a year. So we have to carefully see all different sides of the use of technology. Korean government announced a very aggressive goal and said that we will use renewable energy 30% by 2030 and 70% by 2050 in producing electricity. This is a very aggressive goal. We'll see what we can do. And we also focus on the use of hydrogen energy, and all these companies, including big companies like Samsung, LG, Hyundai, SK, and GS, POSCO, Lotte, they are all started investing into the technology of hydrogen energy. The basic plan is that Korea is located in quite north of the globe. So we will make a contract with Australia and Chile and use the desert area and install solar panel there and produce electricity and use this electricity to electrolyze water and produce hydrogen. And then carry this hydrogen on the hydrogen engine boat to Korea. And then use this hydrogen. Hydrogen engine produce only water, right? Not pollution. So use this hydrogen to produce electricity again or hydrogen engine. That is the basic plan. So a huge investment is going on this hydrogen energy now. And there is another high potential technology, which is energy-saving technology. Actually, according to the data, energy-saving technology has contributed more than any other electricity generation technologies, as you can see from the figure. So we are investing into the battery technology a lot also. And there are some little cute ideas suggested too. Cool Loops initiative. Mr. Chu, the Minister of Energy, mentioned that if we paint all the loops in white color and the road white color, that means we can, it has the same effect of removing 11 billion cars from the road in the next 11 years. It is an easy idea to implement, but is it implementable? Maybe some people don't like white colors, right? And we don't know the side effects. Anyway, there are ideas being suggested. So if we use white color, it can, reduce the use of air conditioner 20%, and it can reduce 24 billion tons of CO2 in 20 years, etc. That is much more interesting idea than, electric carbon rights deals. And there are other smart approaches like, bamboo pathway also. my point is that we need to use technology. We are not going back to the age where we don't have technology, right? We have to use technology, and we have to use technology in a smart way, and we have to use it globally. Because if the problem is global, our approach should also be global, right? The technology looks dangerous, but that is the best weapon we can use to cope with the energy problem and the climate problem. One way to use technology is to optimize the energy life cycle from the production of technology from different sources and the saving and then storage and distribution and all the way to consumption. We can use blockchain technology and artificial intelligence technology to follow up all the flows of the energy and optimize it so that we can minimize the waste of energy and maximize the efficiency of the production and use of energy. And we have this technology to implement it, like, Internet of Things. We have sensor networks, we have artificial intelligence, big data analytics, and sixth-generation networks. And you can set up a smart energy center nationwide and then implement it. And there is smart farming. Professor Priyanut introduced me Kubota agriculture solution yesterday, so I included it this way. Smart farming use technology, right? But technology in smart farming means, formally, if we say we use more technology, that means more use of energy and more use of resource. But we are now moving into the age of smart technology and intelligence technology. That means the use of more technology means less use of energy and less use of resources. So this is a Thailand experimental approach in which area? Eastern area of Thailand. And I have a short video. I will go over just 1 minute. Can you play the video?
Waste plastic is a big problem for Indonesia. Everyone knows this, but what to do about it? We came up with a great solution, and then imagined how to turn this big idea into something absolutely huge. Like all really big ideas, it sounds simple. Collect bottles, get rewarded. But Plastic Pay is a recycling rewards program unlike any other. It motivates and financially empowers people and businesses who participate. Plastic Pay is also a revenue generator for our merchant business partners and will be a welcome source of income for millions of ordinary Indonesians, an ongoing source of income. Bottles are collected, the collectors are rewarded, pollution is turned into cash and credits, and the waste plastic itself is processed and reused, with much of it literally leaving Indonesia for overseas markets. This is a truly disruptive 360 idea, and its potential is massive. The Plastic Pay app allows payments for collecting waste PET bottles to go directly and immediately to the collectors, who'll be able to use their Plastic Pay credits with partner merchants.
Okay, stop there. And, we can minimize the waste, but we already produced a huge amount of waste on the earth, so we have to do something about that too, right? We can use technology to deal with the waste that is already there. So that was one video about that, of the use of technology. And in climate issue, we always talk about the life and health of the animals in the wildlife, like polar bears and gorillas and monkeys and tigers. But what about these animals that we grow? The herd, right? We want them to be healthy, right? We want them to be healthy also, until we kill them, right?
We dream of one health, where people, animals, and the environment are organically connected and coexist. We are AID Korea, who is realizing the preventive veterinary science with solutions that combine artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and veterinary science. In 2019, 1.2 million people died due to antibiotic resistance worldwide. And it is predicted that 10 million people will die in 30 years due to the same. As per the WHO estimate, the world economy could face a cost of up to $100 trillion by 2050. With various zoonotic infections such as AI and mycoplasmosis, there has been an urgent need to introduce preventive veterinary science for livestock, which is how Farms Plan was born. Farms Plan solutions use AI to help produce healthy livestock. AI computer vision monitors the health of the herd, along with a variety of environmental variables, around the clock to help farmers run their operations and prepare for disease. The key to this technology is the data it collects. Total 5 million animals and 10,000 hours vision data of pigs, cows, chickens, and horses. And AI keeps machine learning toward more and more accurate solutions.
Okay, so my conclusion is sustainability needs global collaboration, but to collaborate, we need to respect and understand our partners. We cannot, we cannot force them to do. To understand, we need to share experience and data. To share data, we need open data platform. Open data platform needs social agreements on the protection of data, protection of individual life, protection of privacy. So to do that, we need a legal system, we need social agreements. I placed a little book there, Tools and Weapons. It is by Brad Smith. He is an executive manager of Microsoft. According to this book, technology companies are being pushed by the government from many countries. They say that we need your data. We need your data to find out potential criminals, potential terrorists, etc. And then they also say that the fact that I ask for data should be kept confidential. With this approach here, the companies cannot keep the data because the company should be able to say that this data is not just our research. These are the life of our customers. We cannot release it to you. If we want to see the data, the companies should tell the government, if you want to see the data, you have to go to the court. If you get the approval, then you can see the data. They cannot, secretly go into the data. Only when we have this kind of protection, we can safely manage and share the data about the customers and their lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Sarawut Jansuwan and Professor Namjae Cho. Professor Sarawut talked about, as you know, what's going on in NIDA in terms of the technologies that he's been implementing on campus. As you can see, if you are part of the NIDA community, you see that these technologies have been implemented on a daily basis. So it is something very concrete. It's like a concrete pathway to sustainable development. And Professor Namjae Cho is talking about the smart way of using technology to solve problems, especially the energy consumption problems, and how to do that collaboratively. So thank you very much. Up next, I'd like to invite our Professor Siwat Pongpiajan and Professor Kin-fai HO to talk about another interesting area of SDG, which is climate action, please.
All right, thank you. Today I'm going to talk about my project, which is funded by United Nations Industrial Development Organization, or UNIDO, and also GEF, Global Environmental Fund. So, the project title is Policy Development and Recommendation to Support the RECP, which stands for the Resource Efficient and Cleaner Production, Implementation and Promoting the Eco-Industrial Development concept. So, today's my topic is covering the 6 SDG indicators. Number 5, which is the gender equality, clean water and sanitations, and also the decent work and economic growth, industrial innovations, and also the responsible consumption and promotion, and the climate action. So the whole idea of today's talk is based on the concept of the institutional framework. And also they have what we call is the BATPEP, best available technique and best environmental practices. And also the business model, which Dr. Priyanot already mentioned about the MOLOOP. We also have a collaboration with MOLOOP to utilize the fabric waste from factories. And that's the concept of the industrial symbiosis. And also the low carbon technology and the gender equalities. And so this project had been completed, and we already collected the data and demonstrate. We have some the workshops to collect opinions, both in terms of the quantitative and qualitative informations. Right. So this is the consumption frameworks of this project, which based on the RECP, CSR, and the industrial symbiosis. And also we interviewed the stakeholders and to identify the problems and the possible solutions. So when we are talking about the pollutions to environment, well, like PM2.5 or maybe greenhouse gases, many people think about the traffic emissions, for example, from in Bangkok, we have a severe PM2.5 problems during the past few years. And the majority of the potential sources is from traffic emissions. In the northern part of Thailand, on the other hand, biomass burning seems to be one of the big issues. So what about the industrial sectors? And how come the concept of eco-industrial town can reduce the greenhouse gases and also the air pollutants from the industrial sectors? So one of the key questions is, okay, just it's like a metaphor when we are thinking about the eco-industrial town with a combination of different stakeholders, like a one symphony orchestra. So who's is the conductor? This is my first question when I'm getting involved in this project. And the answer is there's no one single person to command the whole eco-industrial town, because they are based on different stakeholders and also the complicated nature of the institutional frameworks in Thailand. Right. Okay, I will skip to, this is the process that we had been done, but I would like to focus on, yes, okay. So this is the RECP, which is the heart of the eco-industrial town. And we found the 6 solutions, which is first the strategy to use the AI to increase the efficiency of exchange information, to enhance this industrial symbiosis. For example, now we have problems that maybe one factories produce waste, but this waste can be another products to another factories. And the key point is the private sectors, they don't know this kind of information. For example, the factory A produce waste in northeastern part of Thailand, but this waste can be utilized in southern part of Thailand. So there's another project we call is the the hub recycling materials, which the private sectors can access through these websites and to know what type of materials they need, and they can recycle. So the concept of industrial symbiosis is one thing that AI can enhance the efficiency. And the second one is based on the complicated nature of the institutional frameworks in Thailand, because there are many organizations involved in the promotion of eco-industrial towns. And we also need to raising awareness of RECP concept and also to supporting and promoting the low carbon technologies and enhancing the good relationship between business and the community. So this is to find some kind of the new business model to, we call it the coexisting, the industry symbiosis. How can the local community, under the concept of social enterprise, can reuse the industrial waste and make a local products? It could be like an OTOP. And then, the industry, they can claim that it is a part of CSR. And also, instead of burning the waste, which release a lot of greenhouse gases and other air pollutants, they can make the local community benefits from their own waste. So the local community happy that the factories are located near to their communities. So the whole idea of the symbiosis is something I think is one solution that can reach our nations to achieve the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal. All right. Okay, so this I already talked about using the AI platforms. They also have many documentations in Department of Industrial Works that need to be digitalized and make it more easy for factories to ask permission, for example. And also, you can look for the institutional frameworks, which now is a tall and wide structures. So this is the typical complicated nature of the Thailand's institutional frameworks related to the eco-industrial. So it needs to be short and wide structures. So that this is the solution tool that we proposed to many stakeholders during the consultation. And also they have another mixed structure I can show you. Okay, you can see how complicated it is in terms of the promoting the eco-industrial town concept in Thailand. So instead of having this complicated nature, look at our neighboring countries. Vietnam is more simple. So you have institutional unit, you have a market producer and non-market producers, and it's more easy for foreign overseas investors to ask permission to having factories in Vietnam now. So that's why there are many investors go to Vietnam instead of coming to Thailand. And this is the case of the Kitakyushu in Japan. So they have the central government, eco-industrial towns, and what I would like to highlight is the importance of local government or municipalities to promote the concept of eco-industrial town. Okay, this is the raising awareness issue which we already done, and also we need to collaborate with the local university. For example, I will give you an idea like Prince of Songkhla University in southern part of Thailand. There are many experts who know how to use the palm oil industry, and then to have some knowledge to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions from the palm oil industries. So this is something unique, something local. We need more researchers who can help us to promote the low carbon technology. Okay, and also, yes, the coexistence between the social enterprise, the local communities, and the industry. So this is to enhancing the good relationships between business and the community. This is another important key factors. And finally, yes, Thailand's aim to become a high-income country has resulted in stipulating BCG economic model or bioeconomy, circular economy, green economy as a national agenda. Therefore, the exchange of industrial waste is one of the most method of utilize the resources to best and most cost-effective way. So I would like to finish my presentation here. Thank you.
Okay, so let me introduce myself. I'm Kin-fai HO from the Chinese University of Hong Kong. and I'm the last presenter. Some pressure because I know that the time is running out. So I will speak faster. So today I will share my work on, because we talk a lot on climate change, so we talk something how climate change affects our health, especially focus on high temperature. I think we all know that climate change is a pressing global issue, and extreme heat is one of the significant consequences. So according to the IPCC, we know that the global surface temperature in the 2010s was around 1.1 degrees Celsius, warmer than the pre-industrial level. So most of the increase has occurred since a long time ago, since the 1970s, and most likely it's due to the human activity, especially the greenhouse gases. So that's why how to reduce the greenhouse gases is quite important. And the warming change is expected to intensify in the future. It depends whether we can control those greenhouse gases or not. So those we call the human-caused climate change has different adverse effects, especially on human health. As shown in the figures, it affects the water and global safety, and it causes more infectious diseases, heart-related diseases, mental illness, and premature death. So the impact is also geographically disproportionate, that some region may be flooding and another region may be drought and have Wi-Fi. And in the following, I will talk some about my research or my study on temperature. One of our previous research in Hong Kong is to find the association between the hotter temperature and higher likelihood of elderly people being hospitalized. Previous studies are talking about the mortality, okay, but last studies focus on those hospital admission. So our study was focused on those elderly people, whether they were hospitalized under high temperature. This is especially true for those people who is about 75 and also come from low-income background, okay? So they have shown to have a more vulnerable to have hospitalized caused by different diseases like cardiovascular diseases, respiratory diseases, pneumonia, and even flu. But in comparison with those working age population, regardless of their socioeconomic status, is less affected by higher temperature. So those elderly people is more sensitive to the higher temperature. Another study is we sample personal temperature, which is a more accurate indicator of about heat and cold we experienced in the real world situation. We find a higher temperature could lead to lower level of blood oxygen saturation and a higher likelihood of experience oxygen desaturation. This effect was particularly noticeable in women or male patients with chronic diseases like COPD. The temperature-induced oxygen desaturation could potentially worsen the symptoms of the COPD and have a significant impact on the condition. So we know the personal temperature important, so that's why we decide a study to determine the personal temperature versus ambient temperature. So we monitored the personal temperature of 45 elderly and collect their urine sample and determine their biomarkers. And we find out that the personal temperature was largely different from the ambient temperature. From the figure, we can see that personal temperature generally higher than the ambient temperature in the mid-season because sometimes we stay in indoor, so the temperature will be higher. But in summertime, the temperature will be lower in the indoor than the outdoor because we have air conditioner. So that's why we personal experience the temperature is totally different with ambient. So we put the result into our health. We can see that we measure the urine marker, as I mentioned, which is a oxidative stress marker. We found that the lower personal temperature was linked to reduce of those oxidative stress. For ambient temperature, even we can see the association, but the effect was smaller and did not find any statistical significance. So this suggests that using ambient temperature alone as a predictor may underestimate the overall impact on health, especially on this heat. So this is the last study talking about the nighttime warming this is another recent hot topic in public health. People found that nighttime temperature increased faster than daytime temperature. That is, in the nighttime, we feel more hotter and hotter in the futures. So this is very important to determine how this hot light will affect our health. So we try to study how nighttime heat affects the number of people being admitted to hospital in Hong Kong and paying close attention to different socioeconomic status and the age. We find that as shown in the figures, the daily median temperature as well as the excess nighttime heat have increased, obviously, in Hong Kong. Moreover, more than half of the summer days experience excess nighttime heat of various intensity. I think this is also the same in Thailand. So we find that under this hot night temperature, the excess light heat could increase the hospitalized, particularly the socioeconomically disadvantaged individuals. The elderly with low socioeconomic status were more vulnerable to excess nighttime heat, that the risk is hospitalization could be 5% higher on the day with substantial excess nighttime heat. So the conclusion, I think it's very important to understand that heat adaptation action should be tailored to those individuals from low socioeconomic status people, okay, especially for those elderly or children. And more effort should be done is to improve the awareness about the climate change and the health impact and also this economic impact, particularly in urban areas all over the world. So in the future, we need more collaboration and we need more work should be done all over the world, including the Southeast Asia and all over the world, how to collaborate to reduce the greenhouse gas. Yeah, this is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, both of the professors, Professor Sivat and Professor Kin-fai HO. I think both of the professors introduced us with their research work, and it's very interesting. And I think one of the things that we can take away from both of the papers and both of the research is that we need to have some sort of network collaboration among the different partners to solve our problems. Thank you.
And as always, we always have some time set aside for some questions from our audience. And actually, we already have one here from one of our audience members. But our questioner didn't specify who would answer the question, but we'll see. All right, the question is, how can we as global citizens move forward under the same policy, which is called RE100, or Renewable Energy 100%? So, Dr. Namjae Cho, because you talked extensively about energy consumption, would you please?
Yeah, we are already moving toward this way, but what we do is we need more technology to monitor the production and distribution and use of the technology, so that not to control them, but to find out best way to help them to implement it. So in using this technology, we will be able to find a better way to collaborate, to help them to understand what is really going on in the production and use of this energy. And then we don't have a perfect solution, but we should keep watching the solution and its impact and analyze it and keep finding out better way. That is the only way we can do in practice. So that is my answer.
Thank you very much. Any other panelists who would like to answer this question as well?
Thank you. I think to achieve the 100% renewable energies, one of the constraints or the limits to achieve this goal is to supply of lithium, because you need a high capacity of battery to restore the electricity that produced by solar energy, for example, during the daytime. And now we have a limited resources of this. So I'm not an expert in this, but I think one of the big issues is the innovations, how to enhance the capacity of the battery to restore the electricity from renewable energy. Yeah.
Yeah, the technology is improving. There is one very positive expectation. They're saying that the efficiency of solar panel is going to be increased 500 times in 10 years. That will solve many problems too. And the battery technology is improving very fast too.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Next up, probably the last thing that we would do for this panel, to be fair for everyone to have your own say, we would like to know your key message that our audience can take away from your discussion today. You may talk about how all these presentations that you just give to us be connected to the people on the ground. As Professor Yunus talks today, that it's very important to work from the ground up. All the technologies that we mentioned, whether it's smart cities, all these, they're very at the top. It's the sort of the top-down approach. So is there any key message that you can give to the people on the ground? Maybe they are the people here sitting in this auditorium. Yes. Maybe on what, you can go pair by pair or each one person. And you have 30 seconds to do that.
Maybe I'll start first.
Yes,
I think when I was inspired by Professor Yunus' speech today, that when he had facing the devastating stage in Bangladesh, but if we have hope and energy to move forward, I think we can do it. Right? Now we have so many academic solutions for the work of our global broiling situations. And from working on this book, I think we have found inspiring cases that many small groups of people, the SMEs, in Thailand, everywhere, they are working their best to cope with. Although they might not understand the SDGs or what whatsoever, but what they do is really a local solutions to the global issues. So I think this can be shedding lights of hope to us too. So that's my message. You want to say something?
Look, one individual can't solve all these problems and can't solve the world's problems, but you can only work on yourself. You could only follow your own passion and have the right mindset and apply the things that you've heard over the last 2 days to your own life in some way. That might be in terms of your waste, your shopping, your consumption. I think you have to be self-critical about your own behavior and work on your own self. Thank you.
Thank you.
For me, I think technology is something that is a tool, okay? Because some technologies work, some technology may not work. So we need to smart select it and use it as a tool, okay, to help us manage the cities, manage how we use the resource, utilize the resource more effective way. Yeah, I think that is the key.
Thank you.
In the business school, we teach marketing, we teach planning, we teach strategy, we teach vision, leadership, etc. But we say that there is only one variable that produces results. That is action. In that sense, I love Dr. Yunus, who, include the action of the people. I believe that a smart use of technology can make people act. That is my message.
Thank you.
I think climate change is a burning question, and somebody may think that this is not their business now, but you can from my talk you can see that just 1 degree Celsius increase it also will affect your health. So right now we have a lot of technologies. We understand what's going on. So action, as I recall, that is very important that we should do it now. Yes, this is my final message.
Yes, well, I'm quite agree with Professor Yunus that he mentioned about the artificial intelligence, the AI. So they are self-learning 24 hours, 365 days, non-stopping. and they are become clever and clever every single seconds. So how can we going to control the development of AI, and how can we wisely utilize them to promote the research innovations to benefit us? I think this is one of the key messages for the Sustainable Development Goal. Yeah.
Thank you very much for all your key messages, which I would take as some sort of suggestions for all of our audience members here. So thank you, everyone. I would like to sincerely express my appreciation to all our panelists for sharing with us your insights, perspectives, and knowledge with us. And also, I'd like to thank everyone in the audience for staying tuned with us until the last minute here. So hope to see everyone again next year in our next conference on NIC-NIDA 2024. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all of our eminent panelists.